Ladies and gentlemen, did you actually hear the developments that actually came from Somalia to Israel, their leader, Netanyahu? Did you actually hear the warning from Somalia? Let me actually show you with this. So make sure that again to relax yourself on the seat and watch this video step by step to better understand the tension that is actually rising from between Somalia and of course Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, guess what? Before I actually give you this development here, let me actually remind you that there's another shocking revolutionary development that actually happened between Ghana and of course Zambia. Ghana and Zambia has just signed a game-changing visa exemption agreement. Ladies and gentlemen, this agreement allows citizens of both countries or states to travel freely between the two states or countries without the need for a visa. That is right, ladies and gentlemen, no visa required, okay, for holders of any passport category from Ghana or Zambia. This deal, ladies and gentlemen, represents a significant or important step forward in African unity and of course economic cooperation. Now, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, that is the President for the Republic of Ghana, made it clear that this is not just about easy travel, it is about laying the foundation for broader cooperation. Now, guess what, ladies and gentlemen, 10 different memorandums of understanding were actually also signed as part of this deal, covering a wide range of sectors from trade to education, energy to infrastructure. This agreement, ladies and gentlemen, strengthens the bonds between the two nations or states and set an example for other African states to follow. For the African continent, ladies and gentlemen, this is a monumental moment. Africa has long struggled with fragmented policies and of course barriers or hindrances to free movement. Ghana and Zambia's agreement, ladies and gentlemen, is a powerful move towards breaking down those barriers. It opens the door for citizens to move, trade, and of course collaborate without unnecessary hurdles. Okay, and it is not just symbolic; it is practical, laying the groundwork for economic growth and of course cultural exchange. Ladies and gentlemen, the move comes at a critical time for Africa as the continent seeks to boost intra-African trade and of course enhance diplomatic ties. The agreement serves as a model. Ghana and Zambia are showing the world that African countries or states can actually take control of their own future by building stronger relationships and of course fostering growth without relying on external forces. But there is more to this particular partnership, ladies and gentlemen. Guess what? Both countries have agreed to intensify work on the Permanent Joint Commission for Cooperation. This will actually focus on advancing the relationship in priority sectors, creating opportunities for both nations to grow and of course thrive together. Now let us discuss Somalia and of course Israel. The recent political statement made by Somalia's president has sparked global attention, ladies and gentlemen. Guess what? Somalia, a country located on the Horn of Africa, has firmly declared its opposition to any Israeli military presence in the breakaway region of Somaliland. In a bold declaration, ladies and gentlemen, the Somali leader emphasized that Somalia will actually fight within its capabilities, okay, to prevent any Israeli forces from entering the region. This statement, ladies and gentlemen, comes at a time when tensions in the Horn of Africa are already high, raising questions about the future of Somaliland and its political relations with both regional and of course international players. Ladies and gentlemen, the Somali president made it clear that Somalia will actually stand by as Israel attempts to establish a military presence in the region. These declarations serve as a direct challenge to any potential Israeli government in Somaliland. This message, ladies and gentlemen, is actually unshakable. Somalia will actually protect its sovereignty and its interest at all costs. Now, precious family, let us quickly discuss or analyze the implications of the president's words, okay, explore Somaliland's current situation and of course delve into the broader geopolitical context of this dispute. Somaliland, a self-declared independent region of Somalia, ladies and gentlemen, has been seeking international recognition for years. Although it has its own government, military and of course institution, it is still considered part of Somalia by most of the world. This is factual, okay. The issue of Somaliland's independence or sovereignty is one of the most contentious topics in Somali politics, ladies and gentlemen. Despite this fact, the region has enjoyed relative peace compared to the rest of Somalia, ladies and gentlemen, which has actually struggled with decades of conflict. But now, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? With Israel's recent recognition of Somaliland's independence or sovereignty, the situation is taking a new turn. The Somali president's comments reflect deep concern over the potential consequences or results of such recognition. For Somalia, Israel's move is not just a matter of territorial integrity, but also a broader concern for regional stability. Somalia's government believes that Israel's, recognition of Somaliland's independence or sovereignty could actually set a dangerous or risky precedent, not only for Africa but for global instability. Ladies and gentlemen, the president warned or threatened that it will actually destabilize the entire region, including the Red Sea, okay, a critical area for international trade. Ladies and gentlemen, Somalia fears that allowing such a move will actually encourage or urge other separatist movements across Africa, potentially opening a Pandora's box of instability. The Somali president's stance on this issue is clear, ladies and gentlemen. He has expressed that Somalia will not actually allow any foreign military presence, especially from Israel, in Somaliland. He pointed out that Somalia is fully committed to defending its sovereignty and, of course, ensuring that no international power undermines its territorial integrity. This strong or vehement rhetoric highlights Somalia's determination to retain control over its national borders and, of course, to maintain its position on the global stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Somalia's government is putting the world on notice that it will not allow external forces to interfere in its affairs. Ladies and gentlemen, the president West, okay, underlined the importance of national unity and, of course, resistance to foreign influence, especially from a country like Israel, whose presence could actually be seen as destabilizing force. Ladies and gentlemen, whilst Somalia's opposition to Israel is not new, ladies and gentlemen, the recent developments have brought this long-standing issue to the forefront of international conversations. Israel's actions in Somaliland have raised eyebrows not only in Somalia but in neighboring countries or states and the broader African continent. At this point, precious family, please, if you actually was not finding this particular analytical story very important, please don't forget to actually like, subscribe, and of course turn on notifications so you can actually stay updated on many African related developments like this. Somalia's opposition to Israel's potential involvement in Somaliland could have far-reaching consequences. Ladies and gentlemen, the Horn of Africa is already a volatile region with many countries or states facing internal conflict and, of course, external pressures. Any attempt by Israel to establish a military base in Somaliland could actually exacerbate or intensify tensions and, of course, potentially lead to further destabilization of the region. Beyond the immediate political implications for Somalia and, of course, Somaliland, ladies and gentlemen, this issue could actually affect broader African relations. Okay, the Red Sea is a vital trade route, and any instability in this particular region, ladies and gentlemen, could actually disrupt or interrupt global trade, impacting countries or states around the world. The involvement of Israel in Somaliland, ladies and gentlemen, if it were to occur, will actually bring international attention to an area that has long been overshadowed by other geopolitical concerns. Somalia's message is clear. It will not allow outside forces to meddle in its affairs. The Somali president has made it clear, ladies and gentlemen, that any foreign military presence in Somaliland will be met with resistance. The world now waits to see how other nations or countries will actually react to this growing tension. Ladies and gentlemen, we actually sincerely thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. If you actually find today's particular video very insightful, helpful, please make sure once again to give us a support. Okay, like, subscribe, and of course turn on notifications to make sure that we stay updated always for more development like this about our continent of Africa and beyond the borders of Africa. Thank you. See you in the next update.